got a question I'd like to ask.
Hi.
Hello.
Please correct me if I have.
We'll just a microphone so everyone else can hear at the back. So there you go.
Okay. Hi. Okay.
Hello.
As I said before, please correct me if I'm saying something stupid. Okay. As I got it, most of your success is based on co-creating value with consumers, right, and interacting. And that's a big notion in branding, in contemporary branding. But there's a critique in literature for now that says about labor exploitation or exploiting and consumers paying premiums for the value they have created, actually. Are you prepared if this suspicion actually grows into consumers instead of just academics?
So the idea is that the concept that the academics have is that brands are taking the voice of the consumer and using that voice of the consumer, creating a more aspirational brand and then charging a price premium for that. I haven't heard of that. That's a really interesting thought. I couldn't turn off the voice of the consumer. I honestly, we've got nearly 80 million Facebook fans. I look at that and think I've got 80 million marketing directors. All my job is to inspire the 80 million people that are engaging with Coke, just even on Facebook, that's just one platform, but to reward them for that engagement. I reward them for the engagement through kind of like social kind of equity, and I just couldn't turn it off. The voice of the consumer is the most dominant thing that we have in our marketing artillery, and I wouldn't know how to adjust for that challenge.
It's a bit like I always thought when I used to work on First Direct, being a First Direct customer, advocacy. You know, I think it's something like 81% advocacy or something on First Direct, because they deliver such a fantastic experience to their consumers. Consumers just pass it on. I know it's a slightly different form of sort of co-creation, but that's the sort of the basic principle. Marks and Spencer's was always built on that. And it's just interesting how you build an experience with your consumers, and the role that communication plays in that experience is just an interesting creative challenge. More questions?
Thanks. Hi, Jonathan. Ian Clark at Naked. I'm interested in your section in the book. You talked about celebrating failure as well as success, and I wondered if you could perhaps expand a little on that, and also just share with us what have been the biggest hurdles to those successes as well.
Okay. Failure and success. I really genuinely believe that if an organization doesn't give you the right to fail, then the organization doesn't really have the right to grow, because growth comes through failing at certain things. Like everything, you know, Olympic athletes, they work to fail. They work to fail so that their bodies get stronger, so that their technique gets sharper. And so failure, if you're going to be an innovative marketing organization, there has to be a place for failure. And we created this investment framework called 70-20-10. 70% of every dollar we spend on production, we kind of pretty much can predict the return on investment. 20% of every dollar that we spend is where we innovate off that certainty. And then 10% of every dollar that we spend, brand new ideas, got no idea if they're going to work, we're going to throw stuff out there and going to see what happens. And having that framework has allowed agencies to package up ideas to us in a way. So when an agency it presents as a 70% idea, you know the analytics are going to come out, you know the testing methodology is going to come out, you know it's going to be scrutinized by everybody. And then 20%, then less people are involved, there's less concern. 10%, very, very few people are involved. India-Pakistan was a 10% idea. It was a kind of skunk team of 3 people, one in India, one in Atlanta, and one in Pakistan. And if we'd have failed, that would have been okay, because the company has put it in that this might fail box. And I think that a lot of clients particularly, but a lot of agencies could help clients understand when things are in the smaller fail is okay box, and when things are actually, you know, this is the bread and butter, we can't really kind of take too many risks. Fanta gaming is what I always hold up, and it's on one of the presentations that you could see on YouTube. 3 years ago, Ogilvy, New York, and I love Ogilvy, this is not a diss to Ogilvy, New York. Ogilvy, New York said, hey Jonathan, we think we've found a way, a really cool way of fusing online play and offline play, and it's going to be really, really cool. So we spent, you know, a couple of $100,000. It came back, and it was just so rubbish. It was just a glorious rubbish failure. But we decoded why it had failed, and then this year, Ogilvy, and we spent, you know, millions of dollars with Ogilvy New York now on Fanta's latest gaming platform, and it's just a huge, huge success. So from 3 years and a couple of $100,000 and fail to, you know, 3 years later, a couple of $1 million and real success. And I'm very, very proud of the development of gaming capability on the Fanta brand because we gave Ogilvy the right to fail.
Hello, Chrissy Totti, Head of Innovation at Visium. I've got a question about creativity in a structure like Coca-Cola. It's such a big business where the product is pretty much identical around the world, but the people and the culture that the product's sold in is so different. With 207 markets, 2,000 agencies, I wanted to know sort of where Coca-Cola was heading in terms of dealing with pressure to centralize creative processes, pressure to centralize agencies, yet some of the examples you've just shown us, the most moving and emotional ones, have come out of a very local insight. I'd love to know how you guys are thinking about dealing with that moving forward.
And it's such an interesting issue for us because what I've learned at Coke is we're always in a state of transition. The HR people call it HR transformation, and I thought, well, that's great. Transformation is going to be an event and then it's going to be over. But we're in constant transformation, so it's quite difficult to kind of pin anything down. But we do have this principle called 70-30, where 70% of all our output comes from global insight, global positioning, global core creative idea, and then 30% has to come from local insight to drive local conversation. We're at our best when consumers in a particular market feel the global scale of Coca-Cola brands because they feel big, they're well designed, they've got big glossy stories, big digital platforms, but then they feel a huge local relevance because they're doing things like India and Pakistan or choc, 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 choc. So that balance between global scale, which we promise our shareholders, and local relevance that we have to deliver to consumers is always the thing that's in tension. But all of our brands, the big global brands, have a global core creative idea and content around that core creative idea that is scalable and aspirational and, you know, couldn't be done by a local competitor. And then we go deep into local conversation and local relevance.
Right, and it's nearly 8 o'clock. One last question from anyone? Here we go, from the front. Fabulous.
Can you just stand up at the front? Because I do want everybody to see your trainers. Come on, just show them your trainers. This guy, come on. Look at these trainers. I mean, I have a big collection of Nikes. But have you seen these? I mean, I didn't realize that pink could get as pink as that. Aren't they cool?
Why are you doing this to me?
Well, because they're amazing trainers. I mean, clearly you're not shy about your trainer collection. And so I asked him, I said, so where did you get those from? So he bought them off a trainer trader. What did you say?
They're from Nike.
Yeah, but they're previously owned or something.
No, they got sold. I'm about to buy them from a reseller.
A reseller, right, okay. Nearly $400.
Can I sit down now?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Right, the last question is this, right?
He's gonna give me a really tough one. He's gonna give me a really tough one now because he's like, I could get you.
No. Right. I'm trying to be a king, but I'm struggling working with organisations whose culture is to play it safe. How can you manage excellence in creativity and content and risk in such a massive organisation?
The default culture at Coke is a relatively safe organisation. We wouldn't have been able to be as creatively confident had we not have found a way to diffuse the ambition and the agenda so that everybody felt an ownership on it. And the thing that really helped create the level playing field was Content 2020. So we took ownership of our own creative destiny from the agencies, because we're working with too many agencies. So I couldn't say to a Wyden and then a Mother and then an Ogilvy and then a Crispin, hey, what's Coke all about? We had to kind of wrap our arms around it. And we did that using a cross-functional group of people from many different geographies, came together to write Content 2020, and then we gave it to the industry to make the industry feel ownership of it as well. If I've learned anything, the trick in transforming a culture is to get other people to want to do the work as opposed to you trying to do the work yourself. And the gift that Coca-Cola has given me inside and outside of the organization is there's just so many brilliant wannabe kings and queens who are just like, yeah, if we can all come together, we can create a transformation. I don't think you can do it individually.
Great last question, actually. It really is,
very
because I'm sure that's going in a lot of people's heads. Because it's going in my head is, you know, sort of wrapping it all up is, you know, I've been driving on about better commercial creativity and how we need to adapt, and it is we. Yes. That's a classic example of a client, you know, the biggest brand in the world, right? Now, you know, you can do the most creative work and deliver incredible commercial success. And one of the ideas behind Adapt was really following off his content strategy, was the whole idea of Adapt is to share best practice, to actually push good practice amongst clients and agencies and intermediaries, and out bad practice. You'll naturally out bad practice because we want to share what works. So clients learn from this. Good agencies lead other agencies to get better. And that really is what this is about for me, and that's why, you know, I'm really grateful for Jonathan coming along, really setting an example as an opinion former who's been agency side and client side. The proof's in the pudding, some of the work he put up there, and just shows how you can change. Your question is, I mean, literally 7 years ago. You wouldn't have thought it, would you? And now look where Coke is. So it shows by adapting, you can drive this commercial creativity, and that's what I want to try and sort of drive through the industry. You know, that hope, that aspiration, and that sort of practical sharing of things that work, because then we're all going to get better. So I want to thank Jonathan. That really is absolutely really kind of him to share his time. He's going back to, we went to see him for a while, he's going back to Atlanta to run America. He'll be next step president, I'm pretty sure. And I want to thank you all for coming along, but continue to get involved in Adapt. You can, you know, it's all on there. Go on the websites. Is Bara doing it? All sorts of clients and agencies are getting involved. Keep getting involved because it will only get better if you input. So thank you again and for coming out.
Thank you very much.